Jesu Maria.
So, dear faithful, in whose eyes I see the energy of the summer. No, I'm just kidding. I see that almost dead people. But it's great that you have come. And so today we have a special topic because it's nice. I want to talk about the principal mistake that everybody has. Everybody has one sinful attitude or a sin or something that happens to him the most, that is rooted deeply, and that really is a problem for the spiritual life. The main mistake, principal mistake. So I have a little booklet from a priest of the Society of Swiss Priests who gives a lot of retreats, who preaches many retreats, and he wrote a little booklet about this topic, and I'm just going to go through it. So maybe you know from the Old Testament the very famous story of the little boy David, who would become a king later, but he was still a boy, and he defeated this huge man called Goliath in battle. So, and here we can see this Goliath, he is a little bit like our principal fault, our principal mistake. He blasphemed God. He mocked the army of the Israelites. He was very proud, and he said, "Why are you coming and are going to fight me? Am I not a Philistine? Are you not slaves of Saul, the king of the Jews? Choose a man, he shall come to me, and if he is able to defeat me in battle, then we will all be your servants." Because he was speaking for the whole army of the Philistines. They had agreed instead of all fighting in a huge fight, only two men would fight against each other, and the one who would win that would be his army, the whole army would win. That was the agreement. But if I win, he said, and I beat him, then you will be our slaves and servants. Today I mocked the army of Israel. Now send forth one man. Imagine this was a guy like 2 meter 50 tall or something. A gigantic man, full of muscle, big armory, steel, long, huge weapons, heavy weapons, really frightening to look at. Let's fight with each other, he said. But you know that David won. And David was a boy. Not grown up yet. He was a boy, and he beat him because he had a little, I don't know the word, probably know the story, but I guess you know the story. He had this little, what's it called? A sling. I think it's called a sling. A sling had a stone and a sling, and he simply shot this giant in between the eyes, and he was dead. He didn't even come to each other. He didn't even come to that. And that way he won. So this Goliath, he symbolizes our principal mistake. This mistake, this fault, this sin, makes us slaves too. Wants to make us slaves. Wants even to kill us, destroy us, if we let it. But if we defeat it, then we have defeated all our enemies, because usually the principal fault has in it, has a rat tail of many other sins that we usually commit. So if we commit, it's like the captain of an army. If we defeat that one, many other sins are really not a problem anymore all of a sudden. But it is a cruel tyrant, this mistake. if we let it be. The more we give it room, the more room we give it, the mightier it gets and the more threatening it gets. So, of course, the devil knows that. He knows, he is so clever, and imagine, I mean, this creature, the devil, has existed longer than Adam and Eve, and he knows mankind, he knows us, he knows every weakness in us. He has a very keen eye, and he is very good at finding our weak spots. It doesn't take long. He has a lot of experience. It doesn't take long to understand something. And this is a great tool for him. Our weak spot, our principal mistake to get us. Because that's where we're weak. We don't have a lot of resistance there in this principal mistake. And that's why the church calls us to be watchful, vigilant. St. Peter in his first epistle says, brothers, be sober, soberness, virtue says, and vigilant, because your enemy the devil is walking around like a roaring lion, and he's looking who he can devour. He's looking for someone to eat, to kill. Resist him strongly in the faith, he says. That's St. Peter. Resist him strongly in faith. So, this enemy, this lion in us, or this weakness, this principal mistake, is like a little hole in the fortress of our soul. We are usually naturally gifted. We have some natural gifts that make some walls of the fortress. Then we have some virtues, another wall. We have some acquired virtues, maybe through our faith, through religion, another wall, and so on. But all of us have some spot somewhere that has a little leak, or is a little thin somehow. And that's the point where the devil attacks. This mistake is like a accomplice of the devil. It is an enemy inside us. It's sort of part of us. It's an enemy inside. We're speaking about enemies have infiltrated the church, which is true, but the microcosm is here. Right? There is something inside us that is fighting against us. That is our enemy. And it's hidden. It works secretly. It's not courageous. It's clever, and it wants to catch us from behind, so to speak. That's what the devil does too. So now it's all about, and this time of Lent can help us get the right, a little bit of fasting, some sacrifice. This helps us to get some light and understand ourselves better. It's the great task. We cannot even start imagining having any spiritual success, any success or progress in our spiritual life, if we do not know our principal fault, our principal weakness, or principal mistake. If we haven't found it, don't even dream of making progress in the spiritual life. So in order to find that, we have to consider what is my strongest weakness? What wants to dominate me? To which do I give in too often? Regularly. To what weakness? To what temptation? What happens regularly? For example, if somebody has this weakness of gluttony, he can resist, like, eat a little sweets and a little more, and if it's tasty, and more, and has the respective sizes to it, and then sometimes he cannot, when this temptation comes, he cannot think of anything else. He's like captured by it. He's not free at that moment. He's a slave of this weakness, of himself, basically. He's also poor creature. We all are, more or less. Well, it is absolutely necessary that we make a firm decision to find it and to defeat it. That is necessary. There is no other way to go there. This is the spiritual battle that God wants from us. It's really a battle. And we all must make a firm decision to take up the reins. Men and women, even children can do that. That's necessary. If we don't do that, there's no chance of becoming a better Christian. There's no way. So, these weaknesses have to do with different temperaments. And they usually go hand in hand with our greatest positive side, with our strength, what we're good at. The main mistake or this main weakness is usually the other side of the medal, very often. So if you want to find it, and maybe it's easier to find in the first place what you're good at, what people love you for, where you have success in your life, then you are not far away from finding this weakness too. For example, the temperament of cholerics. Okay? Cholerics, strong will, hard workers, a lot of discipline, usually a very sharp reason, sharp, exact, ability to judge, and of course they're loved for that. They're loved for being strong, for being leaders, for achieving a lot in their lives. But the other side of it, of course, it's easy to guess, it's pride. That's the other side of it. And often cholerics have this weak spot very often. That's their weak spot. I am great. It's because of me. Because I am the good one. I'm better than the others. That's the weak spot of cholerics often. Where somebody is a very nice person, very lenient, he never gets angry, and is such a lovely person, and that's what he's loved for. But the other side of that medal, that is usually that people who have this positive side, they are sometimes a little soft, too soft. They don't have the, what's the English word? You know what I'm saying? They don't have the bite, the necessary bit, to fight something through. They get relaxed too easily. Or also very lazy. They can get very lazy, or sometimes they will love the enjoyments of this life too much. Eating, luxury, these things. Or others who love to be around people, who are happy when they are in community, who are happy when they can talk, when they can laugh, who can make other people happy by being lovely persons, and they love to help others, they are social, we like to be with them, they're very sympathetic. But this can also, the other side of that, for example, can be a certain superficialness. Often they cannot go very deep, they don't look deeper into things. They don't really don't see the serious aspects of life. They are superficial. And that's people who love bragging and chattering and have a lack of discipline and solid principles. That's the opposite. Or very sensitive, I'm just giving some examples of temperaments, or very sensitive people, for example, who have a very accurate perception of human situations, and who are very good at understanding other people's emotions, situations. This is a gift. This is really a strength. If you can do it, if you're able to do that. They often have talents of artists, musicians, artists, but this man goes. But they have the other side of their medal is that they often have a too strong tendency to give up hope, sadness. They let themselves down. They have this, almost they love this emotion of sadness almost, sometimes. They feel good when they're sad. But that's a weakness. Also, they are too scared, too easily scared. They're wimpish. They get scared easily of any slightest danger. And are pessimists. No, that idea won't help. Don't try. No. We can just try and see things through, but any effort, any initiative, it won't work. It makes no sense. There's no hope. That's also this. That's the other side of this good side. Or people who are very exact, who if you give them a task, you can be absolutely sure they will do it with perfection. It will be done perfectly. But the other side of that strength is they become perfectionists. That they do everything, the tiniest things, with such accurateness that is really not needed at all, and they think that it's nothing worth at all if it's not 150%. And that's when they start getting on the nerves of other people, because they will demand that of others too. If they're not perfect, it's nothing worth. If it's not more than perfect, it's useless. And they put a great pressure on themselves and on others. I agree with that. Just some examples of characters and of the two sides. So the strength and the weakness is very closely related. So if we want to find our main weakness that we can attack, because it's Goliath, that's the enemy, then we should consider our strengths first. What am I good at? And then we can find it easier. So if we find that and get an idea of what it could be, also of course the answers, the way we react, are different from person to person. So of course, different kinds of sicknesses need different kinds of medicine. It's normal. It's the same way in the spiritual life. Those who are a little too soft in their temperament, they can get over that by praying a little more, by asking for God's grace and for a certain resolution to practice some discipline or some strength, for example, to practice, to acquire more and more stability of character. Those who are naturally strong and maybe a little proud, they also must remember this and maybe in situations of success, remember that it's God who gives the success. It's God's grace. It's His goodwill that makes it achieve anything. And say thank you. If I do anything good, if I achieve something, why not get on my knees and say thank you, God, for helping me, for doing that, for helping me doing that good thing. And that way, they refer everything back to God. That's beautiful. So it's always so if you know this weakness, you try to find the opposite virtue. Okay, the opposite virtue, and that is the key to find it. If you, of course, sometimes it is not that easy to find it. You can pray a lot. You can talk to your priest, talk to those who know you well, family members, your loved ones. This is a very interesting conversation. Just hey, mother, what is your main weakness? That's a very courageous question, because mothers usually know. So, let me see. Yeah, so usually, if we do that, our whole development, spiritual development and personal development can become a lot more equilibrated, a lot more healthy, I would say, without exaggerations, one-sidedness, but we become a whole person, a complete person, so to speak. So that's for example, just an example. If a choleric with those, that strength we talked about, if he does not work on himself, for example, a young man, and he grows up, becomes an adult, and he can become something like a little tyrant. Not loved, but more rather feared, and known for his rashness and selfishness. But if he tries to work on that, he will become a leader who is loved and accepted. That's a great difference between a tyrant and a leader. Great difference. And we achieve that by working on our weakness with the help of grace. So the devil doesn't only use our weakness to damage us, but he's even more. He tries to get everything out of it he can. He will use our weakness to be a damage for others too. So the more we don't work on our weakness, the more we let it go, the more difficult will it be for the people around us to live with us. And that is very important for any kind of social life, especially the family. And only a Christian family, they can really achieve a true peace and harmony, a beautiful, loving atmosphere in the family, right? Because if everybody seriously works on himself, this can be beautiful, Christian family, a real home, a spiritual home of love, of striving for sanctity, for holiness, of helping each other in a beautiful place. What a perfect environment for a child to grow up. Christian family. But let's not make this mistake of, because there is a social aspect in this weakness, let's not make the mistake of looking rather at others people's weaknesses and not at our own weakness. That's a little bit like Pharisees. We all know we have, everybody has weakness. But if I only keep looking at somebody else's weakness, nothing will change. Because I cannot change him. He can only change himself. And my weakness will not be changed if I keep looking at others all the time, other people's weakness. I have also to focus, first of all, focus on my own weakness. And that's the only place in the world where I can truly change something important. The only place I cannot really change other people if I don't start here, right now. It's not possible. If you want to change the world, start with yourself. So let's not give up. If we're a little confused, what is my weakness? Let's pray. Let's talk. Let's get advice. And then once we find it, attack. And you can always ask the priest. We're always there for advice. We have to fight that fight too. We also have to pray and ask other people, to ask other priests to help us too. So pray for this light. Then let's ask ourselves, for example, one thing I can do is we wake up in the morning. What is the first thing I think of when I open my eyes? First thing that comes to my mind by itself. That could be a hint, because that's where our nature aims at. Weakness sometimes aims at our strength. But that could be a means to find it. What's the first thought in my mind when I wake up? Or Or when I am alone, when others don't talk to me, when I'm alone with my thoughts, where do my thoughts usually tend? Where do they go? By themselves. That could be my wishes. What things make me sad? What things make me happy? Could be the reason. Or if I have difficulty making progress, what's the reason? What keeps me back? That's usually this weakness. What temptations come the most often? What's the means of the devil? Because the devil knows our weakness better than we do. So he will use the right weapons to get us. So we can ask ourselves, what does he use? What does he do? What are my temptations? Where am I tempted most often? And where do I fall? What is the easiest? That's often this story of things. When I have a good time, when I know there's some strength and virtue, and praying gets better, and God is helping me to be better, where do my thoughts tend then? How does the Holy Spirit or my guardian angel help me? What ways do they point me, my actions? And that can also be linked. The good spirit tries to lead us away from it, wants to help us practice virtue. So when I have a good, spiritually strong, good time, where do my thoughts go? Where does God try to lead me in those times? What does my confessional father think of this question? It's very good that we ask other people who we trust, who know us, because usually it's easier to judge others than to judge ourselves. The most difficult thing is to understand ourselves clearly. We're usually blinded by something, pride or whatever. So it's very good if we discreetly ask those who know us and love us what they think. All right, well, he gives some more advice into specific, like discipline. He says, so prayer is always necessary. If you lack discipline, the encouragement to practice is, of course, make a schedule, for example, a daily schedule, and try to follow it. And if you don't succeed in the beginning, keep on trying. Following that way, you practice this discipline. If you get angry easily, pray for this virtue and make the resolution to, when you feel anger coming, rising up, that just not to talk. That's very good. If you have somebody who tends to explode, the best thing is the resolution. When I feel that emotion coming up, my mouth is sealed until it's gone. Instead, I try to pray inside until it's gone. Great thing to practice. Those who love food and drink and enjoyments too much, they can, that's kind of them. They can pick one thing that they especially love and reduce that. Children, usually Catholic children will usually just eat less or no sweets during the time of Lent, for example, because children love sweets. It's amazing. We cannot give children sweets or popcorn or whatever downstairs. The children are on it. That's a real practice of virtue. She's saying, well, now it's time of Lent, I will not eat this and that chocolate, for example. If I'm too weak, or if I have a lack of trust, if I'm a fearful person, then the simple inner act of confidence helps. To say inside, say in your heart, God, I trust you. Even if I don't feel like it. Even if I feel frightened. To make this effort and make an active will to say, God, I trust that you will help me. I trust that you are there for me. I trust that you are my strength. That is a great act of virtue. Sometimes it's also just interior acts that nobody sees. That are very important. Every morning, after getting up, making my morning prayer, make this resolution. Today I want to practice this virtue, because this is my weakness, so I will practice this virtue. Renew it every morning. In the evening, before going to bed, short examination of conscience. Conscience only about that. Nothing else, just this weakness. Only that. And then refocus. A little active contrition and refocus. And last advice before I... It's a little bit long, sorry. Last advice before we finish is that it can also be helpful to, without exaggeration, to give myself a little penitence. In the evening, when I do my examination of conscience, and I see, okay, in my main resolution, I failed a couple of times. It can be wise to give myself a little penitence on it. Just a small thing. For example, okay, I've done this today. Tomorrow morning, there will be no sugar in the coffee. For example, if you love sugar in the coffee, or something else. Tomorrow, no sweets. Because I did that today. Because that was my main resolution. Something like that, a little thing. But that way, it's a self-education. That way, it's psychologically, we understand, we develop, we understand it more easily that this is bad, and I need to be good. This is a little means of self-education. All right. Maybe a little more. I just followed that's the case. But I hope I could help at least a little bit getting some ideas for this time of Lent. That is the best time for focusing, for refocusing on God, to take up the spiritual path.
Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto, sicut erat in principio et nunc et semper, et in saecula saeculorum. Amen.
Isaia poia